time we're back. Eric DeSobe here, joined by Jessica. Jessica, you've been, what, almost 10 years in the talent game where you are now? Do I have that right?
About 8 years in the talent game. Yep.
8 years, nice. So being around that long, you've seen enough of the different talent eras. What would you describe this talent era in for people who work in education and are trying to fill schools with awesome people?
Oh, I like it. Slightly more optimistic than we've been in previous eras. I think a lot of folks left education during the pandemic. People were doing a whole lot of reflecting and deciding what kind of life they wanted, what was important to them, what their priorities were, and a lot of people left the field. I think the people who are still here are really committed to it and want to be here, and people going into education know what they're getting into. And in Los Angeles, we know, quite unfortunately, there is a decline in students, and we haven't. Therefore, it may be coming slightly more into balance, where we have the right
Hmm.
number of adults for kids. So never fun. I never wish school closures or riffs on anyone. Never want that to happen. And then that means if it does happen, that there's more people available for the schools who still need them. So slightly more optimistic.
Yeah. What do you feel like is the hardest role for y'all to fill these days?
It's probably not going to be any surprise. Middle school math and middle school science.
Gotcha.
Special education is also really hard. But I'll get even a little bit more specific. Seventh and eighth grade science, I think, are
Oh,
the absolute hardest roles for me to
yeah.
fill. It takes a really special person to love those grades and teach those grades. We see a lot of turnover in those grades, and we're not seeing the science teachers who are really passionate about working with seventh and eighth graders. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's seventh and eighth grade is my single hardest role to fill.
What's been the most successful pipeline kind of work that you've done? Is there a teacher residency program or other things, TFA? What's been the thing that's worked for y'all lately?
Yep, all the things you've mentioned. So we've partnered with TFA this year in very high numbers. Been very excited by the passion and energy that those young folks bring. I myself was one of those young folks. Really, was I ever that young? But they bring a lot of passion, a lot of excitement. We are always just looking for growth mindset, right? Like, are they going to take in all the feedback, learn from their peers, learn from their supervisors, learn from their coaches, and implement that advice and that feedback in their classroom? So TFA has been a great pipeline for us, particularly this year. We are also working with the Avance residency. So it's a coalition of ourselves, Camino, Paralos Niños. I think there's one or two other networks that have joined. We work with LMU,
Yeah.
and they provide the actual teacher credential. But folks who want to earn their teaching credential basically take a year to work with a master teacher in their classroom, and are paid for that year, which is phenomenal. And then also receive some scholarship and some tuition support, both through our organization and through a CTC grant. So that's more of a long-term pipeline, right? Because you basically, like, you
Wait.
have an instructional aide who has a whole year to learn how to be a teacher, and then you get to hire them the next year. So that's a long-term pipeline, but we've seen real success with that. We've worked with Teach Start, which trains substitute teachers. Basically, you take a sub for a full year, and then they become an intern teacher the next year. We've seen success there. Good old referrals remain one of our strongest pipelines. Good people know good people, and so tapping into the networks of our current staff and our new hires continues to be successful.
Yeah. And having done this for as long as you have, do you feel like you've changed on what you prioritize in an interview process? Are you as excited about a demo lesson for a teacher? Are you more interested in references these days than you might have been when you started 10 years ago? What kind of things are kind of the key steps of the process for you now that might not have been in years past?
Yeah, good question. I think the thing that remains consistent, right, is growth mindset. We want to
Yeah.
know that people want to learn, grow, and get better. And we look at that through all the ways you just named, through when you do a demo lesson and get feedback on it, how do you change? How do you respond to that feedback? How do you talk about when you've gotten feedback in the past? And how do you talk about failures in your life and whether or not you take ownership of those and have a growth mindset around doing things better in the future? And what your reference
difference to say about that. So growth mindset, I think, is the most critical. But growth mindset and reflectiveness has remained the most critical piece for me over the past 10 or so years. And we look through it in all parts of the interview process.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that I think is really new, or I'd say the thing that I think that has changed, we as a school network have definitely taken more of a restorative approach when it comes to classroom discipline and classroom management. So I think many folks in charter schools remember the no excuses type model, the straight lines, no talking, sit and star type of environment. And we have definitely moved away from that and have definitely tried to, become a place where that's culturally responsive, where kids can be their best selves, where there is joy, and when kids make mistakes, that there are consequences, but they are logical consequences, and they're not punitive. They are consequences that help kids to learn. And I think that mindset. We've been amazed at how many teachers still expect kids to just make good choices, and how many teachers just want kids to get a consequence or get suspended or get removed from their room when the kid has made a poor choice. And we're really trying hard to figure out how to screen for the mindset of, are you truly in for all kids, and are you truly in for the hard work of repairing and teaching kids when they make bad choices or poor choices, or do you just want the kid removed? And that's been really hard to suss out, because I think most people in an interview will, of course, say, yes, I believe in teaching all kids. Yes, I believe that kids deserve chances. But particularly for new teachers, you don't quite know how you're going to feel when that seventh grader who has pushed your buttons 17,000 times and now does it for the 17,001 time, you don't really know how you're going to respond in an interview, particularly when you're a new teacher. So we're really trying to suss out, the new thing is we're really trying to suss out what is a teacher's true mindsets about working with kids who exhibit challenging behaviors.
Do you put plants in there for the demo lesson, like have kids role play and act out sillier and sillier things to see if you can find the line of?
Usually we don't even have to plant kids.
Sure,
Usually
they
kids
can.
will do that
They're
anyway.
natural actors, and they understood the drill. Yeah, that's funny.
What we do is we've started if the principal is observing the demo lesson, we have the principal step out of the room,
Yeah,
because sometimes kids are on their best behavior when the
sure. There's
principal's
when an
there.
adult in
But
there all of a sudden. Yeah, that's good.
yeah. So that's been one little trick we use. But
Yeah. Hey, last thing, are you, or maybe not, are you? How are you thinking about AI, and either from the candidate side, what they're doing to use it, and then what y'all are doing on your end, if anything?
yeah, great question. I don't think I have any good answers for this. We are trying to use AI in ways that's responsible, in ways that decreases bias rather than increases bias.
Yeah.
We haven't dived into it a whole lot. We've been very cautious, for better or for worse. I think there are a lot more people doing a lot more exciting things around AI. We've been very cautious about first looking for just how does it involve efficiencies without removing human touch, has been our approach. And in terms of how candidates use it, we definitely see the AI cover letters, short responses, etc. I think we just give a little less credence to those things right now, and a little bit more to how are you how are you communicating in person with me?
Hmm.
I also will say, though, that like one of the biggest flags is when we want people to use AI in a way, again, that creates efficiencies and helps them be better. But when you upload that cover letter and it's obviously an AI generated one that you haven't proofread, that will
Mm.
work against you. Because I don't care if you use AI, but I want you to use it responsibly and not in a sloppy way.
Yeah, I think we're getting real close to just being way more explicit on like these short essays. Don't use AI.
Yeah,
These times you can, because yeah, we have the same feeling when you see the robot voice or you see the typos, and it's like, oh, I just wish we had told you like it's totally fine. Just be yourself and write normal for these 3 sentence answers. You don't need to.
yeah,
Um, and doing that more like with performance tasks later in processes or these kind of things, just to tell people it's cool to do it here, not cool to do it here. Here's why, and see
yeah,
where people end up. But it is certainly a arms race, right? Candidates have a lot at their disposal. We have a lot at our disposal,
yeah.
and it kind of ends up being a wash. Well, listen, if folks want to get involved and teach 7th or 8th grade science for you, where's the best place to find you or to find the roles that you're trying to fill?
Yeah, for sure. Equitasacademy.org. Join our team is the best place to learn about what we have open. And I'm always, myself or anyone on our team is always open to connect and learn. So shoot us an email. We love connecting.
Nice. Well, thanks for coming on. Thanks for listening, everyone. You can catch all past episodes, all the places you get your podcast, and you can catch Jessica and I in stunning 4K on YouTube as usual. Please, if you teach science, talk to us both. We need you out there. And thanks for listening. We'll talk to you soon.